Hey,
Could have been
welcome,
could have been a
John.
hard could
Thanks
have
for
been a hard
joining
hat
us.
game. Yeah, I mean,
So I just want to clear this up right off the bat. The hard hat only comes out for the playoffs, so everybody just save it. You're right though. This is definitely a hard hat game. This was a grinded out, ugly game that I didn't think they had any business winning until they again put the hard
until they
hat
won.
on, steel toe boots, hard hats, lunch pails, came to work, forced overtime, and then took care of business. It wasn't pretty. A lot of sloppiness. They almost gave the game away in that final minute somehow. The refs almost gave the game away. I don't want to go too crazy about the refs, but this was a game that it felt like they had no business winning this one, but they just hung around again, looked the boogeyman in the eyes and said, "Not tonight. Not
Not
gonna
tonight.
let you haunt us tonight." And they took
What
care of
do you
business.
say to the god of death? Not tonight.
Not
That's
tonight.
a
It
game. It's a
wasn't
Game of Thrones
pretty
thing,
though,
anyway.
but they won. They got the win.
It's the I mean, Jimmy, you're a writer by trade, so you understand this. You spend an entire night
This
basically
is
crafting your piece, right? You know,
yeah.
uh, and it probably, if you were writing this game, it'd be like, you know, for whatever it's worth, the Celtics can't solve the Warriors puzzle. Warriors bring out the worst in the Celtics once again. Tatum and Brown were the worst version of themselves, as yada yada, as Golden State's defense stifled Boston, blah 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 blah. And then you get to the last 3 minutes, 4 minutes of regulation, and you tear it up and you move on, and you have to completely rewrite the story. I have to do this with my emotions. Okay,
You know what?
I spend an entire night enraged watching the team play, and I have to somehow turn this ship around and put on a happy face because they won. And you have to appreciate and hat tip the effort in the win. I think at the end of the day, the simplest conclusion is this: um, both these teams, like, this is not. It's so funny for two teams capable of playing beautiful basketball. There is
Oof.
nothing artistic about the games when they play one another. Both teams make the other team play really, really freaking ugly. It just is what it is.
They
It
make them
just
uncomfortable. They know how
they
to get them out of their comfort zones, right? That's kind
they
of what
bring
it.
out the
Yeah.
worst in each other, the worst in each other. Um, so, and that's what happened. So, yeah, it was really disappointing watching Tatum puke all over himself and turn the ball over 3 times. Even when he put it together in the fourth and started to make some buckets, 3 turnovers in the last 2 minutes could have been the ball game. Jalen was awful all friggin' game, but then he hits a big three. Horford, Smart, kept him alive all game long. Brogdon got it going a little bit late. The offensive rebounds and this and that, but this was just a hard game to wrap your mind around because it was so bad for so long, and then they completely flipped it. And kind of, what did they erase? 9 point deficit,
11,
11 point.
I think,
Yeah,
at one point. They had their first lead. I saw the stat on
I
it was like
literally almost quit. I almost
56
just
to
walked out.
54.
I was like, after Tatum threw the ball over for the third time in the fourth, I'm like,
Oh
done
my
with
God.
these losers. I'm done. And then they just kept they hung in there, man. They just kept coming and coming and coming.
I have to give Jaylen Brown credit. I think I texted you guys like Jaylen Brown should not have
Get
played
him
tonight.
out.
As I'm sending the text, it's like a steal and a dunk, and then it's like a little floater or turnaround like jumper. Then he hits the freaking 3-pointer to tie the game and send it in overtime. I mean, I got to give him a ton of credit for the way he kept, again, kind of embodied the Celtics tonight. Ugly for 3.5 quarters or whatever it was, and just kept at it. Made it uncomfortable for the Warriors too. They weren't playing pretty on their side by any stretch. Um, you know, Clay had an ugly turnover late in the game where wide open look took his eye off the ball. Curry had a couple ugly shots. The air
Yeah.
ball three.
They had
Um,
turnovers late,
yeah,
really goofy stuff. Like the
absolutely.
Warriors, if you're sitting home and you're Golden State, you're like, ugh, man, we played like ass and almost won this game. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's bad. But so again, I guess it comes back to I'll get killed for this, and I expect it, and it is what it
Don't
is.
don't go there yet. Wherever you're gonna go, don't go there yet.
No, I'm saying, me. I'm not a win is a win or a loss is a loss guy. You wanted to see things. What did you want to see tonight? You wanted to see that Tatum exercised his Golden State ghosts. Did you see that? No.
I can't say that I saw that,
No.
but he did have a three in overtime that was big.
Sure.
He did stay aggressive, but there's a big but here, a big old booty. Those 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes.
All
Those
of it.
3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes, I was pulling my hair out. I mean, listen,
His shot quality all game
yeah, the
was
shot, that's a different story
brutal.
too.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of forced shots. I mean, listen, nobody wants to break the Golden State curse more than Jayson Tatum does. So was there a little bit of maybe force in that somewhat? Sure. I mean, I think that's human of him to do that. I don't think he needs to. I think he should know that he just needs to play within himself. But I also wonder if he put a little too much pressure on himself. National TV game against a team that knocked him up, that prevented them from winning a title. They got embarrassed by them earlier this season. I think he put a lot of pressure on himself tonight to be the guy. Still finishes with 34 points. Obviously, not the most efficient 34 points, but I don't know how many times he got to the line tonight, but he's been doing that a lot lately. 19 rebounds, John. I know you hate that stat.
This is a
12
classic
of
game
12
where
from the line. Thank you, Tim.
this is the classic game where if you watched it, look, here's the thing.
Yeah, right. You have to watch it.
If you watched it, you'd be like, God, this was one of Tatum's worst games I've ever seen. You look at the box score and you'll be like, you can convince yourself it wasn't so bad. It was bad. Tatum was awful tonight. Tatum was really, really bad tonight. But he kept battling. He did get to the line.
That's what it is.
And here's the thing is like the Celtics have things that Golden State can't deal with, and that's size, that's length, it's athleticism. Golden State almost is like that team that's got to use gimmicks against you a little bit. They went small to start, and they're just willing to concede certain things. So they got their asses kicked on the offensive glass. And even though they took the Celtics out, and they're freaking elite at this, they just clog passing lanes, and they've got people waiting. Tatum and Brown got stuck in no man's land when they would get into the paint, stuck between forcing weird shots or floaters or continuing on and probably resulting in offensive fouls, not being able to get all the way to the rim. They couldn't get anything going, but they do such a good job doing that and then clogging passing lanes. So those guys can't even kick it out once they do get in there. It's just, they just get swallowed whole. And they fall for that trap. They just kept doing it. And it was really frustrating to watch it. But again, Smart stepped up, knocked down some shots when they needed it. Horford was huge all game. I mean, again, there's just mismatches there. Like Rob kept them alive. The Celtics were playing like ass, and Rob, he got credited with like 7-8 offensive rebounds or whatever. He must have gotten his hand on like 15, 16 balls on the offensive end.
That's what he's been doing a lot of lately, just being involved. Even
just
if
keep
he's not
it active.
The stat. Yeah.
Incredible. So, yeah, I mean, the Celtics have things that the Warriors can't contend with either. And I think we just have to get used to if these two guys ever face each other again. One, the season's already a success because you've made it to the NBA Finals. Two, be prepared for some really freaking ugly basketball. Celtics aren't going to solve this Warriors curse. I think this is just how it's going to be. They'll just play ugly basketball against one another. You did want to see Tatum. The beauty of Tatum's 51-point game we talked about the other night was what? He almost didn't try. He just kind of let it come to him. This was the opposite, where he was trying so hard. Nothing was natural. There was no flow. The Celtics were running into each other on offense. They weren't passing. They weren't moving the ball. They weren't relocating. You watch Steph over and over again. How many times they talk on the broadcast? Watch him relocate. Watch him relocate. Watch him move. He's most dangerous when he passes it. That's a clinic
style.
Right there. But you see when Tatum does it too, it matters. Like late in the game, one of my favorite possessions of his is he had the ball top of the key on Wiggins, and it looked like he was going to kind of do his little ISO dance, and instead he gave it up. He went over there, set a screen, rolled to the post, ended up with DiVincenzo on him, got the ball back quick there. DiVincenzo had to foul because he was toast in the post. Like stuff like that is great. Yeah. Move, but they just didn't do enough of it. He just kind of got lulled into that little Warriors trap of just kind of attacking right into the teeth of the defense, and they ate him up. Like you'll look at the shot chart and be like, he missed a lot of close. Those were awful shots. They were off balance, weird, leaning, going the other way. Nothing great. Stuck floaters, mini air balls. A lot of the shots were contested. A lot of his pull-ups were like desperation late in the clock heaves. Really, really, really rough shooting night for him. Not just stuff not going in, just stuff that didn't really have much of a chance to go in.
Yeah, I would say the shot quality wasn't where it
So
needed to
Golden
be.
State does that
For
to
sure.
you. Yeah.
Right. So you got to almost give them a little bit of credit too. But I mean, it
You
wasn't like
do.
there wasn't really anybody else in the Celtics that was taking the reins tonight. Was putting the team on their back. I thought Horford obviously had a really hot start to this game. What do you have? Like 10 quick points in the first quarter. There was a little mismatch situation going on, or size mismatch there. I'm pretty sure I saw Al Horford do the like too small thing. I don't know if anyone can confirm that for me, but I thought that he did that,
Yeah, you
which
said
would
that earlier, and I
be a
wasn't
bit
sure.
out of character. I was just watching the broadcast. I don't know if I just caught him pointing at somebody on getting back on defense, but I'm pretty sure I saw him do that, which I loved every second of it. Producer Tim tells me that my eyes were not deceiving me and that he did in
We
fact do
call
that.
him Producer Tim. He was born with the name Producer was his first name.
Yeah, it's kind of written in the stars for him here.
Yeah.
So thank you, producer Tim, for that. But no, it was literally Horford started things off for them. They were getting help throughout the night, and that's why they kept it close, because Tatum was having such an off night and Brown was having an off shooting night. But I think tonight's a great example of it. If you can just stick around long enough, if you can have enough supporting cast to get you through, Brogdon tonight had a couple big shots. Those guys, Brown and Tatum, are going to find equilibrium at some point. And obviously, I'm not saying that statistically speaking they evened out, but the way the game sort of shifted when they got a little bit more aggressive and shots started to fall a little bit more. Like I said earlier, Brown's aggressiveness, credit to him. He was not having a good shooting night at all. Beyond the arc, wherever, and he kept at it. So that steal and the dunk, the little floater like right in front of the free throw line, and the 3-point shot. Those were just jolts of the energy, and honestly, I mean, obviously exactly what they needed to tie the 3-pointer to tie it up there, and then just playing good defense on the other end. Nope, this wasn't a game where you could as bad or as ugly as it was. You couldn't question the effort tonight, really. I mean, this was just a situation where
No.
two teams duking it out. And
Frustrated.
as ugly
Frustrating.
as ugly as it was, there's a beauty in it.
Ugly, sloppy, miscommunicating, bad turnovers, just like all sorts of ugly. But you're right, they stayed in it. It was amazing, and they hung in there. And Golden State shut down. I mean, they really, they, like I said, if you're on the Golden State side of this, you're like, man, we pissed this away. And you're on the
Totally.
Celtics side,
This
it'd
is
be
a
like,
bad
no,
loss for them.
the Celtics,
Totally.
the Celtics took it from them.
Yeah, this is a
And guys,
bad.
honestly,
Warriors are
I
0-11 now.
I don't care in the chat. I don't care if you're happy, joy. We're gonna say what we're gonna say here. Yes, great win. It's not all puppy dog sunshine and roses. There was a lot of ugly here. We're gonna talk about all of it. There's plenty of good. There's plenty of ugly.
I think we're leaning on
it was a roller coaster game, guys. Let's
rein you in a bit. I think we're focusing on the good here. I mean, you have to acknowledge the bad and then bring it back around. But they did win.
Yes.
At the end. 10 minutes on why this game was so ugly and why the Celtics should have lost. But they did win.
It's a long preamble to say your emotions, your average Celtics fan's emotions watching the majority of this game was angry. And then you got to flip it completely and be like, but they won, which is good.
Right.
And then kind of extract positive from it. But the reality was it was 45 minutes of really bad basketball, and then all of a sudden they turned it on.
It goes back to your writing of the game story. Like you couldn't really write this one up. And eventually you'll just have, hey, Chat GPT, like write the game story, but from an angry perspective. And then like they would just write it, and it would be like, this was not a game the Celtics had any business winning tonight.
Exactly.
Just going on and on.
Write it in the form of angry Zannis.
Angry Zannis.
You think ChatGPT's got that?
Spit it out. Totally. Absolutely. They're probably Garden Report fans.
So again, I mean, you're like, people are raging on Twitter. It's not just me. Everyone's like, Jalen ruined it. Jalen chemistry game. Like he's awful. Yeah. They don't need it. Like there's a lot of blow it up stuff. No, I just thought it was an ugly ass game and kind of disappointing because you wanted to see them exercise demons. But I have, like I said,
this
long
counts.
Preamble to say I've come to the conclusion that it's just going to be ugly when these two teams play each other.
Yeah.
You look back in the finals, there wasn't a lot of, Golden State and had a couple of stretches of pretty ball, but for the most part, the Celtics made them look ugly for most of the finals too. I mean, those were not. I mean, that's just how these games are going to go against these teams.
Yeah.
They're rock fights. They really play each other hard.
I think the Celtics, I think the game plan was there again. Like, I mean, if a few more shots fell or if there a few more better shots were taken, I think the Celtics win this one a lot more easier than they did. I mean, they definitely dominated points in the paint as they needed to do. They won second chance points. They won fast break points. They did not win points off turnovers. So, I mean, if you want to, 17 turnovers for the Celtics, 16 for the Warriors, but the Warriors were able to capitalize a little bit more than the Celtics were. But all in all, like, I mean, the games where I can't stand are the games where they just don't show effort because I know that the talent is there and you can't really question their talent. This wasn't one of those games. I mean, they fought through the ugliness of it. I think Golden State, even though they're 22 and 23, they're not the Golden State that we all probably know over the last X amount of years, but they still have that ability in them. They still have that clout. They still they still make, I think, opposing teams a little bit scared, maybe going in to some extent. Like, oh, this is the Warriors. Here's Curry. Here's Clay. Here's Draymond. Here's Poole. Wiggins. Wiggins had some solid defensive plays late in the game tonight, too. So, I don't know what it is with the Warriors. They're 0-11 now on the road against teams with an above 500 record. So, are they front runners in a sense? Maybe. I don't know that you'll even see the Warriors in the, and this might be the last time if you're the Celtics you see the Warriors. I don't know if they're good enough to get to the NBA Finals. I'm never going to count them out. I'm never going to count them out. But I just think that there's some holes in what they're doing too over there.
I'm still betting on them.
I'm not going to put it this way. I'm not betting against them, but I would not be shocked to see a team like Denver is playing really well. There are teams out there that can really give them trouble. Hopefully they do, because the Celtics, like you said, it's going to be a rock fight. It's not going to be two teams with these elite scores on each side. Just the flow of the game and just trade like that's what it's going to be. Both teams have played clearly, but whether it's high emotions, I don't know if there's just a lot of animosity between. Clearly, there isn't. These guys are probably out. They're probably all going out to dinner after the game.
Yeah, Grant's gonna be like, "You guys still like me, even though I barely played and didn't score."
Grant's in the Warriors locker room right now, being like, "Hey guys, where are we going? Where are we going?
What's up, guys?
Hey, remember me?
Remember when I crashed the wedding I wasn't really invited to? Wasn't that fun?
Remember I was Jason's +1?
Did you hear us say that?
What? No.
Did you hear us say that?
No, I didn't hear you say that.
That's what we that was the joke we were making on Spaces the other night.
Oh, really?
He wasn't actually. I said that was literally what I said. I was like, he wasn't invited. He was Tatum's +1.
Yeah. There you go. Great minds think alike.
That's funny.
As somebody who's been a +1 and really didn't belong, I know what it's like. Just kidding.
Can you believe it, Jimmy? I'm not gonna. Far be it for me to deny the chat what they want. People right now are begging for an ad.
Are you gonna toss some comments up tonight or what? I think we even got we got some super, what do they call them? Super comments? We missed a couple.
I can't see.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, so I had to switch computers, and the one I'm on is really small. I can barely see the screen because my laptop is having some problems. So you can throw up some comments.
All right.
In the meantime, I'm going to tell the fine folks here at home about one of our terrific sponsors, Athletic Greens. We love Athletic Greens here on the Garden Report, and I actually know for a fact many of you do too, because we've not only had people purchase it and send me the receipts, we've had people renew it. We have people tweeting about it. So it really is a hit so far.
I'm stacking it right now. I love it.
Jimmy's stacking. So for those of you interested in kind of taking charge of your health and you're out there chasing a bunch of different vitamins and supplements, and you've got 20 bottles on your shelf, toss them. Go get AG1 instead. A buck.
Yep, that was from Dudley. Thank you, Duds.
Duds, man.
John, me and you get to split that, right? 50.
Yeah, 50 five ways, but YouTube gets 50% off the top.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Duds. Anything. Honestly, just having you here makes me
Yeah,
happy.
we don't need a penny from
Never.
anybody.
In fact, I want to give it. Dudley, send me your Venmo. I'm sending it back.
Yeah.
But Athletic Greens, it's a great supplement here. It gives you all of the things you need: energy, focus, recovery, gut health, immune system boosting, all of those types of things. Like I said, you're probably chasing through various supplements. You can get it with 75 vitamins, minerals. Boom, scoop, put it in a little cup of water, drink it in the
Down the
morning, and you're done
hatch.
for the day. Down the hatch, it's very, friendly to whatever diet that you're on. If you're gluten-free, keto, paleo, vegan, whatever it is, you're fine. You can take this. Virtually no sugar at all. Totally works within whatever you're doing. Read this one to me, Jimmy. I'm
Playoff
just
type
kidding.
game. Oh, okay. Sorry.
No. Check it out. It's widely endorsed and supported. Healthcare professionals, athletes, thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews. So again, time to reclaim your health. Do it now. Remove that.
Sorry.
We got to see Athletic Greens. Go right here, athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply, vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Once again, athleticgreens.com/garden, and you get a free t-shirt. Merch store is being updated. There's a form in the description of our show you can fill out with all of your information, and we'll send it right to you. Our merch store is
Our merch store?
Soon to have some new stuff, including some hats. Then there could be some Jimmy Toscano specific products.
Am I gonna get a hard hat T-shirt? Hopefully.
So here's the thing: we want to ask the fans whether they want an actual Toscano hard hat as a piece of merchandise that they would buy, or not.
Wow.
Because yes, I don't know.
Do we have Can we sell hard hats? Are we allowed? I mean, they have to be construction quality.
Yeah, they are right.
They have to be. This is legit. This is Omega 2. This is actually certified. I could wear this in a construction site and I would be safe. So this is the real deal.
Yeah, you should think about it.
I want a hard hat season T-shirt is what I would like. But yeah, you could go with the straight hard hat too. This is coming out game 1 of the NBA playoffs. This is a playoff. This is a hard hat game tonight. This is getting me fired up for hard hat season.
Yeah.
So anyways.
So my question is, what sticks with you more? What sticks with you more? The first, how the game started or how it ended? Like, how will you remember it?
How it ended. Come on.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean that goes for pretty much every game I watch, to be completely honest. My brain kind of forgets like the first couple quarters and I just focus on the second half. But especially in a game like this, I mean it's all about the result at the end. I mean, you don't want to get into bad habits. This isn't to me the norm. This isn't how normally the Celtics team plays. If it was, then I would be a little bit concerned. This is a case of two teams coming in. Thank you. Yeah, it is OSHA approved. That's probably the word I was looking for. This is a case of two teams that are just they know how to get the best out of each other, but make it look ugly. You know what I mean? So I'm happy with how this game turned out. I mean, this was a game that it really could have went the opposite direction in the fourth quarter, the way things were trending. And we could have been talking about a double-digit Celtics loss in regulation, and this would have been John's Super Bowl, honestly. This would have been a night that he wouldn't have been able to forget for a long time. But again, credit to them for sticking it out.
I don't root for that.
You're not rooting for it, but this would have just been a game where
it fires me up because I get so friggin' annoyed by it.
I know. Well, I'm just saying this would have been that type of game. Tatum
just looked like it was so sad all game with the turnovers and the shoulders and the why that wasn't a foul on me and the traveling. Like
the travel was a travel. That was a travel.
All of them. He just got mentally owned this game, and then whatever. Again, credit. Stuck it out. They kept going and kept going and kept going. Could have gone the other way. Could have gone away from them in the third quarter, Jimmy. I thought that game was gone because the first half, honestly, was like, yes, you could say, well, Golden State was only winning because of that Curry 3. Yes and no. Golden State got the shots they wanted in the first half, and they weren't really knocking them down. The Celtics were forced into a whole bunch of awful shots. And so I thought they were lucky. And in the third quarter, when the shots started falling for Golden State and the Celtics were still trying for the same types of shots, I was like, uh-oh, bad. And I thought they were going to run away with it. And no, they didn't. Like, everything was just hang on for dear life. Right. Only down 7 in the third. Everything was bad. Only down 7 in the third. Then you tied the non-Curry minutes in the fourth which you shouldn't, which you needed to make up the deficit there, and you didn't. He came in, actually, Smart was shooting 2 free throws. So technically it was dead even in the Curry minutes. Then Smart hit the second one down. They gained a point on that. And I thought they were toast. Like they didn't take advantage of their opportunities. And then they kind of clawed it out. So, kudos to them. Nothing was really going their way. They weren't getting what they wanted. And then when they did start to get some quality shots, they really did start to smoke some bunnies there in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Jalen missed one. Brogdon missed one. Tatum couldn't get going at all. And then they just hung in there. I mean, they hung in there long enough to pull it off. So it was everyone says like this is a game they lose blank and blank ago. I don't know. They've had a few of these types of wins where they've toughed it out and they haven't played well. Yeah.
Right. But
so it's something this team does better than last year's team.
Right. But sometimes when they have ugly games, I blame them. But I have to give the Warriors a big chunk of that credit tonight because this is what the Warriors do. And this is what they've done to the Celtics team. So the difference is the Celtics overcame that and they clamped down in the fourth. They came together. They started to hit a couple of shots, and they got a little revenge on this Warriors team from. Not going to say they got revenge from the NBA Finals. The two obviously aren't comparable, but from earlier this season, certainly. Let's not forget, they got embarrassed in Golden State, and that kind of set them off on this, that bad stretch of games that they went through. Everyone started to panic. You won't find any panic on this show during that stretch. Do not watch any of those tapes back, but just take my word for it. This was a game that you knew they wanted it, and I think that maybe that went into Tatum's, play a little bit more, and that's just part of it. Nothing that I would be concerned about. I was glad to see how hard these guys are playing in overtime. Brogdon with a huge 3-pointer in the corner. Jaylen Brown with a nice, huge pass to Horford, who hit his 3. These guys just hit shots when they needed to, and it's a good win. It's a good win.
I would
Ugly,
sit here and talk about the blocks. Those 3 blocks. Brogdon had 1, Horford had 2, but then Tatum turned 2 of them over immediately after.
Tatum, that I can't figure out. I can't. Those 3
that was unbelievable.
So bad. And then Marcus Smart's almost near turnover.
Jaylen Brown Marcus turns one over, but Marcus turned one over, throwing it to Tatum before, and then Marcus almost turned it over, throwing it out of bounds, and Brown saved it. The whole thing was like, both teams were making some really, in addition to like good defense and the other team forcing teams into mistakes, there was some really boneheaded shit tonight. Like, I guarantee that Warriors locker room is kind of like, man, we played like ass, But again, I think part of that's on the Celtics, their energy, their size. It's frustrating. You see the clip with Draymond Green saying they got nothing going other than 0 rebounds. Yeah, that's part of the game. Like that's how it works. Like they have the size, they have the personnel to do that. It's almost like saying, "Yo, they got nothing going other than 3-point shots." Like, right. Okay, that's something you're doing well. Here's something that the Celtics are doing well over you. Because you've chosen to play a really small lineup, you've left yourself susceptible to Robert Williams grabbing 15,000 offensive rebounds. That's your fault. Mm-hmm. They took advantage there. That kept them alive. Rob was pretty good there in that regard.
Brad, that's yeah. This was one of those, I think, underrated Rob games, right? That again, it might not all of it show up in the box score, but if you watch the game, you see how he's just like making it at the very least, making it extremely difficult, annoying for the opponent. Trying to grab boards, and he's just using his body, boxing out, getting in the way. Drawing fouls, whether it might not even be drawing a foul on himself, but just forcing the opponent to be, in awkward positions where they might foul if they don't get a clean rebound. So it's good to see that because one thing I'm always looking for with Rob is his aggressiveness. I know that he can be one of the most athletic guys in the gym, but sometimes I wonder if he's able to do that. So
not you. I'm looking for my Rob graphic.
Oh, okay. Don't confuse me, dude. I'm easily confused.
No, Rob was good. Rob had a box score game, not just a not box score game.
I know, but I feel like he was even better than his box score.
14 points, 11 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds, and honestly, I think he should get credit for about 15 or 16 because of the ones where he's tapping them and keeping them alive and landing in other people's hands. He ends up with 0 blocks.
See, that's what I mean. Like 0 blocks, but like he's affecting shots, right?
Yeah.
So great game. Who do we have? Who do we got over there tonight, John? Who's Bobby over there? Josue over there? Sherrod?
The whole gang is at the Garden. Sherrod's going to join in a little bit. He had to catch up with Steph Curry. He's on assignment, I believe, for Bleacher Report tonight. So he's got some stuff to do. So we're holding it down until those guys join. We got a full house in here.
It's a big night at the Garden. I'm sure whoever was at the game tried to get in there as early as they could because it's always fun watching Steph shoot around and those guys pregame. I remember.
Are you tired of the Steph act?
No, I'm not. I don't get tired of that stuff because these guys are like generational talent, so I'm never going to be tired of it. And I think he's earned it. I mean, he's also pretty likable guy.
That's the thing is like you'll always see it through a one-side. We'll see it through a one-sided lens because it feels like he's killing you. These were some shitty numbers for Steph. Like
I didn't think he had like certainly did not have one of those games where you're going to be like, oh my god, he did it again. But he did have that. He had 1 3 late in the game that I recall. But no, I mean, he airballed one in OT.
They missed a ton of their threes. They were 18 for 52 from 3 tonight. Mm-hmm. Like, I
mean, he was 6 for 18. I mean, this was not a good Steph night.
You feel like, oh, Poole, he was good, and he had some big buckets at some moments. Poole, 10 of 25, 2 of 10 from 3. They did not knock down their shots tonight at all. Clay was the only one. Wiggins 6 of 18, really ugly.
Clay hurt them last time too. Clay was one of the reasons they lost in Golden State earlier this year.
Ugly game. Golden State finishes 40%, 34 from 3. Really, really ugly game for them. Really bad. I think we got someone from the Garden. We'll bring him in here and get a fresh perspective here. Yeah, we got Josue. We'll give Josue a shot. Josue, what's up?
I'm in the Garden.
What up, kid? Looking sharp, dude.
I'm in an interrogation room here at the Garden.
I can tell, dude.
I'll explain to you guys later. Not a big deal. How we doing?
Passport picture? What's going on over there?
It's fine. Nick's on his way to bail me out. We'll be okay.
Jesus.
With this suit, I feel like that movie, the Adam Sandler movie. What was it? Punch Drunk Love. I feel like he's in that dead end job where the walls have they pretty much look like this. So I feel like
dude, you could just be in someone's cube right now. We would have no idea. You didn't even go to the game tonight, did you?
Yeah. No, I'll explain later, man. I'm here, but I'm not here, Anyways, what do you guys think? What was the emotional roller coaster you two went through? I'm sure John has an interesting take.
No, I mean, like I said, it's the hardest thing about this game, and I kind of compared it to say you're writing the game story. You spend 40-something minutes watching this game, and you're writing it like a eulogy. Like, once again, the Golden State Warriors got the best as Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown struggled and were the worst version of themselves. Bad shot selection and turnovers killed the Celtics as they such and such and such. And then they friggin' turned it around and they won the game late. So you've got to completely recalibrate, your entire game story and the way you're feeling. So again, that's kind of the question we pose there is like, most people spent the majority of this game annoyed watching it because the Celtics were doing things that drive you crazy. And the conclusion, we've come to on the show is these teams make each other play ugly and it just is what it is. So you got to take a step back from it, walk away and be like, this is a pretty freaking good win.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what Steve Kerr talked about especially was just not closing the game the way they should have. I mean, getting into foul trouble in that fourth quarter, going into overtime, letting the Celtics steal that momentum. And even that shot from Jaylen, he was furious about that. And credit to Joe Mazzulla for not calling the timeout because he says, look, that's essentially what got the Warriors off track, and they have to learn to think on the fly in those type of situations. But it just seemed like they just felt like the game was over. And I don't blame them because this is probably one of their better performances of the season. And it's too bad it resulted in an L, but they just prevented they had so many problems for the Celtics, and especially Jordan Poole. He was the X factor in this one. The Celtics did not have an answer for him, whether it was attacking the rim, hitting big shots, just coming up big on defensive stuff. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon, he took Malcolm Brogdon to the rack a couple of times, you saw the Celtics just struggling to plug the holes, so to speak, right? Whether it was Steph, whether it was Klay Thompson, he got out to a hot start, 20 points in the first half. This was everyone doing their job on that Warriors team, but they just couldn't close it out when I felt like they least expected someone like Jaylen Brown. to come up big. Well, they shot 40%. I mean, both teams shot 40%. Neither team shot particularly off the charts.
From three too. I mean, both teams struggled.
Right. I mean, Warriors made a lot more threes than the Celtics, but I think when you couple the Celtics against the free throw line, I mean the Warriors and the bonus, the rebounding, man, when's the last time we've seen the Celtics pull down that many offensive rebounds? I mean, those second chance opportunities, that was 20 plus points right there. That's the game,
Golden State tried to play it a different way. We're gonna go small, and we're gonna take you out of your comfort zone. And the Celtics, to their credit, adapted at least early, by feeding Al, and he got off to a good start there. They took advantage of it on the boards, as you said, with the offensive rebound, and they took advantage of it getting to the free throw line. So again, this is what Golden State played you into. And, I wouldn't say you made the absolute most of it because they didn't make the most of their opportunities, but they kept doing that stuff enough to offset whatever it was that Golden State was doing. And again, they didn't really have a good shooting night themselves either. So, and Celtics did enough to win. They did enough to win. They were hanging in there. For as bad as they were, again, even that third quarter was abysmal and still only 7 points down. It wasn't bad. It could have really gotten away from them. And, I don't know, again, how much it's the Celtics, the pressure that they put on there. I feel like there's nights where Golden State's going to hit a lot of those shots that they took tonight. Tonight was not one of those nights for them either. So they were cold. They didn't play great. Celtics did enough to hang in there and win it.
Yeah, it was the intangibles, right? The rebounding. I mean, Jayson Tatum, career high in rebounds, and Al Horford, huge defensive stops, especially down the stretch. I mean,
that was huge.
I feel like the Warriors just didn't think the Celtics had that in them. They were like, if it isn't Tatum or if it isn't Brown, I mean, it was Brown at the end there, but guys like Al Horford and even Malcolm Brogdon did punch back, even though I felt like Jordan Poole was really giving it to him. But at the same time, they were relentless, And Rob Williams, I mean, how many times did he give this team second chance opportunities, the putbacks, the and ones? Jayson Tatum looking for him a couple of times, whether it was the lob or just finding him in the paint, which led to a foul or led to a layup. So I just think the Celtics did a really good job of just trying to do the best that they could with what they had, in terms of not having that momentum throughout. And when the Warriors pulled ahead and had that double-digit lead, they stuck with it and getting to the free throw line and I mean, that's a testament. Putting the Warriors in the penalty, the Warriors were in the penalty before the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Like that's just something being aggressive. And the Warriors just they were prepared for that, but they were thinking that it was going to take Tatum scoring 7-8 points in a row or Jalen doing that. And when Jalen was ice cold, they forgot about him in that corner. So that was. It's a character win for the Celtics. Again, they didn't make the most of every opportunity, but they needed this one. And a matter of fact, they needed it, even though the Warriors needed it way more than the Celtics did. This is a big loss for them because it's a punch in the gut. They're 500 now, and they needed something like this to boost their spirits, especially being back at the Garden. The last time they were here, they were raising the trophy. The game before that crucial game 4. I mean, like this building has been good to the Warriors, for quite some time. So the Celtics. This is good.
You did not want to see the Warriors win another in your building,
right? No. And you hope that they don't have to come back here if these two teams meet again in the finals. But we'll see.
We will see.
Let me ask another question. No, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, you go.
Jimmy's questions probably has nothing to do with the game. So
Jimmy's is better.
No, it's really not. No, go, John. What is your question?
So what jersey did you see the crowd just sway? Like, was it
literally though.
Was it Al or?
Here's something,
dude. It's so weak. If you're a Warriors
here's something
fan,
I don't understand. Okay.
How much time do we have?
Question one. Return of the double big starting lineup. Golden State. Steve Kerr sniffs it out. Counters with a small lineup. I don't know, I think he was like, let's try something different here rather than go big against these guys. But everyone was really excited to see that return of the double big starting lineup. But a couple things happened off of it that I thought were interesting. But what did you guys just think seeing kind of the band back together like that?
I loved it. I mean, it almost felt like it had the NBA Finals feel to it in a way. I mean, I feel like the Warriors, whether it was Jordan Peele or Klay Thompson. I mean, Klay Thompson didn't put together that kind of half throughout the series.
You said Jordan Peele, but that's okay.
I mean, I almost tweeted that earlier too.
It's hard not to, right?
I just think he was so effective, man. He was like the X factor for this team. But look, I just think the Jordan Poole, the Celtics, they like to use what Mazzulla said a couple of nights ago, like 1 month ago, a month from today, I don't think they win this game. You know, I just really do think it was the type of win that they needed to put together. You know, especially when the shots weren't falling. Tatum didn't have a great first half, but it was still a really close game at halftime. You know, so
Yeah. I'm going to follow off of that double big. Jimmy, did you have a comment?
I mean, I'm happy to see that everyone's healthy enough that should be starting is starting. That's the starting lineup. Whether you liked what you saw tonight or not, that's going to be your
it got
starting
Rob
lineup.
going.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
Rob going.
Yeah, I'm happy for that. I mean,
But there was a casualty, and I want to talk about that in a little bit. First off,
Tatum and Brown not hitting shots.
Derek White?
There it is. Jimmy's on it. But I want to talk about something. But first off, we talk about like how ugly, the games get between these two teams. Al Horford kind of doubled down on that. He was asked after the game, what is it about Golden State that kind of throws you guys off your game? And here's what Al had to say.
Well, I mean, you have to give them credit. They're a great defensive team. They're a team that knows their strengths. They know how to play. They don't foul. They're very solid. And I think people get caught up in the offense with them a lot of the time. The reality is that they're a really good defensive team. Those are kind of some of the things that they do. They speed up the game. So you got to give them credit.
Yeah, they forgot about you though.
They forgot about you, old man.
Yeah, they did.
That's right.
But yeah, so I mean,
great call by Joe. I don't think that was Al just being aggressive. I think he got the green light. What do you guys think?
Yes, off the top, it was.
Oh yeah.
They knew they had the matchup. You're not going to feed Rob, so they knew it's okay. Wiggins, go. Like, get it to him. Like, how many times they feed Al in the post? Never.
Right.
So yes, it was.
They should do it more. That. Al's literally just become a freaking corner 3-point shooter. Clearly, he has some low post skills left in the tank. I understand that it was a bit of a mismatch tonight, but man, this is something that they need to add to their regular. I don't know. They need to add this into the game plan a little bit
repertoire.
More. Yeah, repertoire.
They have to. I agree, Jimmy.
He's capable of more than what he's doing. Like, he's not just a freaking three. I understand that as guys get older, they don't want to bang down low anymore. Like, even KG didn't want to bang down low when he was last couple of years in Boston. But you got to do what you got to do. And these guys are kind of short on big men. I mean, I know Rob's getting healthy again, but after that, it's basically Rob. You've got a little bit of Luke. Sorry, it's Al. You've got a little bit of Luke, but these guys are gonna have to bang down low. And I know Al's not a banger, but he still has some finesse to his game. He can still outsmart. I think the key there is outsmarting younger guys, defenders that maybe aren't as up on a little bit of the footwork that Al's still got left.
So
I think teams they overlook when Al puts the ball on the floor and how he can blow past his defender. Especially when you try to get him on the switch, and he's gonna take advantage of that. But he hasn't been that aggressive. This is the first time we've seen this in a while. Right. So I do think that was the game plan going into the first quarter. Just catch them off guard, hit them with the switch, and then just try to build off of that. But the Warriors, look, the backcourt was huge in this one. I mean, it wasn't just Steph, and I think the Celtics, they got their handed to them in certain spots throughout the game, but they fought back, especially in that fourth quarter.
I will say, unrelated to anything here, but Panic Room Josue looks and sounds impeccable. So maybe you're not exactly where you want to be, but I like where they stuck you.
You're
spot, guys.
Stay there.
I've been pushing the spot out for a long time.
Are you in the Wi-Fi room or something? It's the only thing we can think of.
I don't even want to tell you where I'm at.
So the casualty, as Jimmy pointed out, was Derek White. And like, everyone could be like, oh, Derek White disappeared and he sucked and he didn't hit anything. Fine, he didn't hit anything. This was a bad Derek White game. I'm less concerned with I'm not even looking at the box score. I'm looking at the minutes. And this is where I've been confused with Joe. And I actually don't know. I don't think he knows what to do with his players fully yet, or especially with his three guards. Okay. Because Derek White up until yesterday was starting. Okay. and he was playing, and I was lamenting that Malcolm Brogdon's playing 20 minutes and White's consistently playing 27, 28, and we all were. And I don't understand it. And it's weird. And my contention was that Joe doesn't know how to use them, because when he starts them, he kind of ends back with them at the end based off of how the rotations go. Brogdon just kind of comes out at some point in the fourth quarter, and then he never goes back in, and then he just closes the game with these guys or with double big. And sometimes you have one of your hottest offensive players and a guy capable of like carrying an offense just disappears from games, and I've never really understood it. But today, when White moves back to the bench, Brogdon plays 36 minutes in an overtime game, and White plays 17, which kind of goes back to my thinking is I don't think Joe knows how to work these guys yet, or what to do with them with the kind of three guards, because he's going to default to Smart as his kind of alpha and the guy who's going to be on the court in critical moments. Right. Then I don't know if he knows where to go next in that regard.
He just kind of rides the hot hand, kind of, right? Or the guy
I don't even know that it was, but everybody
Brogdon was playing well.
Brogdon's being managed. Yeah. Brogdon wasn't. He was off. He was
in the fourth quarter. I thought he was pretty sturdy, though. I'm not saying scoring.
Sure, but he's had games where he's the best player on the court and he yanks him.
Right.
It's not it's not a hot hand approach.
No,
if it was hot hand, he would have played more. Right.
The wrong way to put it. I just think maybe whoever's. Go, Joseph. Yeah. I was going to say whoever's.
No, I think it's against teams that when you're faced against teams that have at least three guys that can score off the dribble, that can attack. I just think it's a tough spot for Derek White, because he always has to guard one of those guys. And I think he just didn't. I don't think Joe Mazzulla trusted him against his Warriors.
So it was weird.
You know what though? I also think they needed offense, and I think when you're choosing between White and Brogdon, that's easy call to go with Brogdon. Derek White is a A+ defender. I mean, we know what he's able to do, just blocking guys, blocking shots. But I think they needed some sort of offensive spark, or they needed help, because Tatum and Brown were shooting so poorly. You've got that 3-point shot from Brogdon. I think that's
might have just been. It might have just been that, Jimmy. There's just not enough offense with White on the court. So Bobby, you arrive at the 46-minute mark. You're gonna be here for Derek White talk, though he didn't factor deeply into the game. Where are you in the panic room? We're calling this now the Panic Room Podcast, which I like.
The panic meter's back.
Yeah. No, just where Josue is located right now.
So what's
where
that?
Josue is, yeah.
Solitary confinement. Josue is killing it right now.
Hey, the audio's good though. Who cares what it looks like?
That's what I said. He's awesome.
No popping. No popcorn at night.
I've cracked the code.
Did you?
It's a podcast.
It fixed everything. Yeah. So Bobby,
what's up, Bobby?
You don't have to talk about Derek White. You were just talking to some people. You can give us some insight from the locker room, or really start wherever you want in terms of your observations.
Are you talking to people?
I love this game. This is a grind. This is a playoff style game. Playoff minutes, playoff rotations, playoff adjustments, and Mazzulla and this
playoff
team.
Atmosphere.
You'll shift credit to the team, because again, they're handling most of the things on the court. I want to go to the first quarter. Obviously, you guys have probably talked about everything later in the game. Throwing the ball to Horford in the post after he hasn't taken shots around the basket all year.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
I loved it. The Warriors looked shocked. I didn't get to talk to any Warriors after the game, but I asked Al, was that part of the game plan? And he said no. He said Tatum told him to go in the post, score on those guys. 8 points in 6 minutes. Hot start. Josue was saying before the game in our preview, you got to get out to a hot start. He provided that. Real physicality and intensity. He threw that in that big aggressive dunk. I didn't factor a ton through the middle portion of the game after that start, but the tone he set early, getting guys in huddles, yelling, doing the too short celebration. I mean, this is the guy that was demoralized after that loss more than anyone. Actually, no, I take that back. He showed some confidence after that game 6, some poise, and I expected him to be more despondent. It was Tatum who was kind of, had his head down and was just demoralized by that loss. Horford, I was stunned at 36, 35 then maybe by how optimistic he looked, looking ahead. And obviously he had a great start to this season. He's been a sturdy force for them along the perimeter, but the energy he brought, the boost he gave them in those early minutes was just about as important as anything else in this game. And it was just another reason why, if you don't make that trade with Oklahoma City, in 2021 there, you're not where you are now. Like bringing him back, that rock, that presence, that defender he is, it's everything for this team. And he knows when to turn it up. And how high was his energy tonight? Just through the roof. And it was a big, big difference for them. And then obviously the shooting late, he got back to who he's been for this season.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. What's up? What's so funny, Josue?
I think Sherrod's going to hop on in a second.
Okay. There's no doubt about it. If you want to take a more global look at like what's gone on with the Celtics, it's so easy to talk about things like Tatum and Brown growth, maturity, the addition of Brogdon, the ascension of Rob, and all of that stuff. You're right. I mean, it's not tricky. Like the Al Horford trade really could have been, you're just getting off Kemba's contract, and that's the main thing that you're doing. And Al can come in here, but let's not expect that much out of him. He's been a friggin' everyday starter since he got here, and like absolutely vital to their success. They're nowhere without Al. Even games, we know like sometimes he can look his age now. He's not the same type of guy. He's not going to make nightly contributions like he once used to. But you're right, that kind of steadying presence back there, the guy who can defend multiple positions, who doesn't get lost, who knows his role, who plays smart, who understands the defense, kind of gives the game what it needs. They're doomed without him. They'd be floundering and flopping around right now with just Rob and whoever behind them, as good as Rob.
And isn't it he's still closing games over Rob at this point in his career. Like he's the better player in those closing lineups.
I have to think a lot of the decisions they made tonight were simply based on having some shooting out there. But It is interesting that Hauser never saw the floor, and Grant didn't do anything either.
Yeah, not a good Grant game. I heard you guys talking about the White-Brogdon trade-off, and Brogdon's obviously who I'm going to go to next out of this one. All the difference in the world having him out there. I thought he was good in the first game between these two as well. But now over the last week or two, and I actually got to talk to him on the side in the locker room about like that scoring, facilitating balance he's striking. And he's saying it's giving the game what it needs. Like he kind of senses out there whether he has to take those pull-up jumpers, which he did early in these games, or space the floor, or be more of a facilitator as he was later in this game. And then the rebounding burst he gave them too. Seven doesn't shoot off the stat sheet, but he's not a big rebounding guy. He was tracking balls down in that second half around the rim. I think they had 18 as a team. He was a big part of that, as well as Rob and Al and all the rest of the guys across the front line there. He had a great feel for this game tonight, I felt like. Didn't shoot amazing. No one did. But his feel for the game and the spacing he gives them out there playing off the ball made a big difference in that second half. Guys were able to get to the rim just a little bit easier in the second half than the first half.
Well, that's what I was talking about. The reason I brought it up was, it's so interesting to me that Derek White's a starter. And as a result of that, oftentimes he'd end up closing some games as well, because that's just how things would end up, with him. But and we're going to try to get Sherrod in here too. But in this night, what's up, Sherrod? On this night, Derek White doesn't start. They go with the original starting lineup and double big and all of that stuff. And White gets completely forgotten about. So again, the question is how much of it had to do with the flow of the game and what they thought it needed versus Joe's still trying to figure out how to work these three guards together and what, and how to play them. Because it's weird to me. They've pulled Brogdon when he's been their best player before in favor of White and Smart. And in this game, they didn't. And in fact, the White minutes really, really, really suffered here tonight. And we've got Sherrod Blakely, and we are complete.
Wonder Twin Powers activate.
Yeah.
What's up?
We did it. Where are you? How close are you guys?
Yeah. Too close for comfort.
Feet or inches.
I got the mute button ready. Don't worry, John.
One time when I was at Channel 7, I did that one time, and I split out the reporters, but they were like 3 feet away from each other, and they're like, why can't we just stand next to each other and do the same hit? I was like, it'll make us look bigger, guys. It's just cool. Let's just do 2 paths, 2 shots, and they were like a couple feet apart, and they thought it was such a bad and dumb and annoying idea, but they did it anyway. And then right at the end of their hit, they were both talking to each other 2 feet apart. They fist bumped, so you could see how close they were, and blew the whole thing up.
Yeah, no one knows where they are.
I was so mad about it. I'm like, come on. They ruined the whole illusion.
Damn it.
Listen, Josue's in the Celtics locker room. Sherrod's in the Warriors locker room right now. They're giving us on the spot coverage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Real quick on
Sherrod,
that
take
one.
it away. Sherrod,
So-
you can go in any direction here.
No, I see that you guys got on the lower third there, Malcolm Brogdon. And actually, I asked Steph Curry about Malcolm Brogdon and just what he's meant to this team. And he talked about how he's just a real crafty, seasoned veteran that can do nothing but help that Celtics team. And when you look at the way Malcolm played tonight, I thought this was perfect. 6-man off the bench play for Malcolm. I thought he made the shots that mattered, did a good job of when he wasn't making shots, mixing it up around the basket, getting offensive rebounds, putbacks, doing all the little things, the dirty work that you have to absolutely get on a night like this, particularly on a night when your best player is not having his best game.
It's funny. I popped in the presser at the last second.
That was funny.
I was talking to Smart, and I pop in behind Sherrod, and I go, Steph, what's the impact Malcolm makes on this team? And he looks at Sherrod, and he goes, get the answer from this guy.
Because I literally asked him that question about maybe 30 seconds before Bobby came in.
Oh, that was funny. But, yeah, the difference he
good.
makes here is it makes all the difference in the world. This is why we were so excited to get him, Jimmy. You've wanted him forever. And it's gone as perfectly as you can imagine. And listen, it's not about the stats. It's not about him lighting up the scoring sheet. He doesn't need to be this big, productive player. He just needs to put his impact on the game. And I think we've seen him show his age too, like Horford at times. But he's in a different role now. And him embracing that bench role, playing limited minutes in certain nights. Again, you asked the White-Brogdon trade-off on this night, John. I think it was a matchup, feel of the game, flow of the game thing. I actually asked Joe pregame, is Brogdon going to get in that closing lineup at some point? And he said, when it makes sense, we'll do it. And tonight it made all the sense in the world. He was so good.
And remember, you got to remember that Golden State, they're looking to go with a much smaller lineup. So a guy like Brogdon makes a lot of sense to be out there on the floor. Because, again, he matches up better, I think, down the stretch against a team like Golden State than, let's say, if they were playing Chicago or another team that has, a little bit more heft in that front line.
Brogdon's just like all business out there. You know what I mean? Like he just comes. I think he's kind of got like serial killer vibes to him. Like I feel like he just like goes home after the game.
Easy, Bobby.
I don't know about that
Jimmy.
comparison.
No, in a good way. Goes home after the game like
You're a nice guy, Jimmy. What do you mean?
no furniture.
This
in his
isn't
house,
Ted Bundy with a jump shot.
Sleeps
What the
on
hell
the
are you talking
floor.
about?
Just dribbles a basketball and then just like shows up. I mean, serial killer in the sense where he's just killing other teams. Like he just comes to work, does his thing, hits threes. He's probably got the best shooting percentage in the league, I feel like, from the three-point line. I know that's not true, but
He was 45 on catch and shoot threes, which is spectacular, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just all about his business out there. I mean, yes, I did want him on this team 3 years ago. I'm glad that they didn't wait too long. He still has plenty left to contribute to an NBA championship team. So, this is another great move. We talk about Al Horford. That may have, I don't know, you can argue which one's Brad's best move. Was it the Al Horford trade or the Brogdon trade? Probably Al Horford at this point, but I think when it's all said and done, you might be able to make a good case for Brogdon too if he keeps up this type of production for them.
He's the
I go with
difference in a game
Brogdon
like
better.
this.
Yeah, Brogdon's I think is the better deal simply because of what they gave up, which was basically nothing.
Right. Well,
And they got
Come
basically
on.
a
Throw some
a-
respect on Neesmith's name.
Hey.
Throw some
basically,
respect on
Jim.
Neesmith's name.
That's the qualifier, Jim. It's called the qualifier. Basically,
Oh,
not
that makes
literally.
I'm sure that makes it. Yeah, hey man, you're not nothing. You're basically nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's better.
There you go. Much better.
Yeah, but this is the exact kind of player that they need in the finals too. I mean, we're not.
Yeah.
That's the guy we're least worried about. Is what
They
Malcolm Brogdon
needed a talent upgrade, and that's what he gave them. They needed a talent upgrade. You needed the number one thing you looked at off of Golden State was you just don't have enough juice. You don't have enough guys. You saw them. Yes, Tatum struggled. but you looked at that bench and you're like, there's just not enough guys there, man. There's no, you got to add some.
Yeah, this would have been Romeo and
team.
Nesmith last year in those minutes.
It was gross. You needed some real depth and guys who could score. Brogdon gives you a massive talent upgrade. So it didn't even matter if your greatest position of need might not have been guard. It didn't matter. You just got a good basketball player. They just needed more good basketball players. And Brogdon's a very good basketball player. And as Sherrod said, you got him for next to nothing. Huge talent upgrade. Really changes the entire dynamic of this team.
Yeah, and you look at the two guys that didn't play. Sam and Peyton. This was the Celtics playoff rotation that we saw tonight, and this is the clue that for people who are wondering, I don't know if Sam and Peyton will be in that playoff rotation. Well, now you know. The Celtics. They cut back significantly, went 9 deep, and I can't imagine if them deciding that they're only going to play 9 guys, it wouldn't be the 9 that we saw tonight.
Right.
And who was in it, Sherrod? Right at the end?
Your guy, Luke Cornett.
We talked
about this last. We talked about this. The last game. Luke is playing really well.
Luke
and he
deserves
to be out there. He's earned the right to be out there.
But we said exactly this, especially if you go double big, you have no choice but to give Cornett some minutes because you're not going to be able to last that way. If you split those guys, the only way Cornett doesn't really play is if you split Al and Rob exactly through 48 and add another
play a little bit. He should
and add
play
another
a
5-6 minutes of them playing together. But if you're going to start them and you're going to play them to start the second half and potentially close with them, that means Cornett's got to sneak in some second quarter minutes and probably some late third quarter, early fourth minutes. And I think he's comfortably earned 8 to 10 minutes per game. What's interesting is why wasn't this a Grant Williams game if you talk about playoff rotations?
Well, he was in it.
13 minutes in a game that went 53.
He
wasn't very good.
That's what Joey's doing right now, right? If you're not, if he doesn't see something out of you, I mean, especially in a game like this, in a matchup like this, and the Celtics were down, by 9, 10. I mean, he's going to pull you. That's just where we are in the season right now. Especially
it's weird
like
though.
He expects more from Grant.
Well, I think one of the big factors was Al. I mean, typically Grant's going to spell Al at the 4 spot, and that just wasn't really going to happen on an extended basis because Al was playing better, and Al didn't really show. And Al didn't show any signs of slowing down or being fatigued or anything like that. I mean, he was doing what Al does, and so I think on nights like this, you're going to see Grant probably be the odd man out.
Kwani wants to say hello.
Oh gosh,
Kwani!
What up, girl?
What up, Kwani?
Say actual things.
What's up?
Hello, I'm leaving.
What's Gucci?
Kwani's here working
Just
hard.
crashing the set.
Flex.
Kwani Lunis, NBC,
Do you miss me?
Boston superstar,
Thank
Of
goodness.
course.
host of the A-List podcast with
You gonna
Sherrod,
bully her into that answer, Jimmy?
There you go.
She had to say yes.
co-worker with Jimmy Toscano and yours truly,
Yes, I got it right there.
former
That's
and
right.
Sherrod. Yeah.
It's like a little reunion for you guys.
I'm coming
It
to a
is.
game soon. We got to get media dinner.
Okay, I'm with it.
Oh, we've been
All
waiting
right.
for you, Jimmy. You
You're
won't,
paying.
you
I'll
won't come
hit
to
you
hang out
up.
with me, but you come to hang out with Kwani.
Well,
Come
yeah.
on.
Now I have a good reason.
Kwani's treating, so that's definitely a
It's
good
on
reason.
Jimmy's time. It's on Jimmy.
No,
Media
I'll put
dinner's
it-
on me.
Oh, okay, John.
I'm expensing it with one of you guys. I don't know who.
I'm not paying for this at all. Okay, I'll let you guys get back to it. I think Sherrod was having a hot take as I interrupted. Sorry about that.
No, I'm
Why
just
don't you-
hydrating.
Kwani, pop over and say hi in Sherrod's box too.
I will. I will.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, do a plug. For the
I want to
podcast.
see. I
go
want to
around
see
the
how
room.
close they are. I want to see her.
Nice.
I want to see her appear in all 3 of
There
them.
she is.
Yeah.
the comments.
That was easy.
Kwani.
It's gonna show.
Giving
It's gonna show
Kwani
the
some game right
proximity
now.
of us. Yeah.
She's not gonna come to the interrogation room though. That's what I mean.
Kwani's just real
I'm reading
fast.
the
That's
messy
all.
comments.
She's just really fast. She's
Smart-
sprinting over
Smart
here.
is good.
Be careful.
She's reading the
Commenters
comments.
are
Brogdon,
ruthless.
Dave.
Can
shout
you
out to
find
Dave.
Joe
That's the
Sway?
Yeah,
best.
That's
shout
the
out in there,
question.
Kwani. So I want to say what
Most of the comments are about
This
like
show is derailed. I feel
Yes,
so bad.
it is.
not
Now,
liking
people love
me
it. Look, they're
and
laughing.
Josue's Wi-Fi.
Awesome.
Yeah.
you got to go find Josue,
Okay,
aka
I'm gonna say
Brockton
go to
Wi-Fi.
Josue, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave and let y'all finish the show.
She's
'cause I
heading
know
over to
y'all wanna go
Josue.
home.
It's going to take her at
Josue is
least
in a
5 minutes.
padded room.
At
so-
least
Hey, don't let her in.
At least 5 minutes to Josue. At least 5 minutes.
No chance.
She's not gonna
5
find
seconds.
Joe
Where
Sway.
is she?
We can hear it. There's shit.
Oh, never mind.
Ooh,
Where
the
is he?
Clippers,
My spot.
The Haitian Queen.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of love. Look at that.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about you.
Kwani gets
Check out the
Kwani
A-List
gets
podcast if you haven't
Please
already.
listen to the A-List podcast.
Kwani gets
We're
3
not
guest
talking about
fees for
anyway.
tonight.
I think. What'd you say?
Yeah. Wait, does this mean
Kwani
she's with
gets
Super Chat with us?
Kwani gets 3 guest fees for tonight and a share of the super chat. So keep
I
them coming.
love
guys.
this. Oh my god.
We'll give her a cut. We'll give her a cut.
Can I get a Louis bag too?
Yeah.
I'm actually scared she's gonna like pop out in my
Keep making
video.
appearances. Maybe we
What
can,
the hell did you get in my apartment?
So that's my birthday gift next month. If anyone wants. to
Hey,
buy me a
I was
gift.
wondering you were gonna say that. I was wondering you were gonna mention it.
I was waiting for the birthday plug. Her birthday
Whose
plug. Her
birthday?
birthday's next week. Kwani's. It's in
Next week.
We're gonna turn up.
Oh, Kwani does like a birthday month. I feel like we should already be
Yeah,
celebrating.
the whole month is my month.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
No, her birthday's next month.
Fast.
As it should.
Everyone-
Sonia, yo, you're funny.
I feel like a lot of people do that.
They
This is
said
a
there are
birthday month.
actually 3 Kwanis.
Yeah,
It's
there are.
true.
A-List podcast. See, they're loving you right now.
Okay, I'm
It's
sorry.
A-list.
I'm good.
All right, this guy got weird, but anyways. One of these comments got weird. You guys know which one I'm talking about. I'm not gonna read it.
This is Kwani.
Yeah, if you read the comments long enough, you'll be offended at some point for sure.
Oh, I think I'm pretty hard to put LB back, to be honest. I'm confident. in
Jimmy's a
myself.
loose moderator.
You're about to get a super chat.
Yeah.
Now. I'm ready to so many donations.
We donated. My Venmo is. I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
People
There
are
we
go.
paying
Get
because
some
you're here.
Stay safe. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. If you live in Boston,
Mm.
do not be on the streets unless you have
Oh
to.
yeah.
What she said.
Kwani meteorologist now
Oh.
too.
That's the kind of
Wow, that's
information
true.
you got on NBC.
Co-host and meteorologist.
We got a cold
Damn.
front coming
Later,
in.
Quaddy.
Matt
Damn, Woody
Matt
works
Noise will
anymore
be on the
anyways,
show
I'm
in a
at
minute too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring Matt Noise on.
Kevin Lemanowitz.
We were talking about. Oh, I lost it. I had something and I lost it. I'll bring it up in a little bit. I had a soundbite I was going to play, but I'll get it to you guys.
What the hell, Kwani? How'd you get in my apartment?
I was gonna say if she popped up at Jimmy.
I'm like,
That would've
kind of
been-
nervous now.
That would have been legit scary.
Yeah, John would have freaked out. He was like,
yeah.
I ran into the show. How did you do that?
That would have freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, John, are you happy about this win, or are you frustrated?
So
with the way
Bobby,
they
I'm
played?
struggling. Bobby.
That's a loaded
I'm
question.
struggling. That's a
Yeah, I
tough
don't think he's
question.
loving it. I mean, Bobby, I don't know.
I'll put it this way: Can you purge yourself of the feelings of like anger, annoyance, and frustration that you lived through the first 45 minutes of regulation? Like it's hard, right? Like it,
Not
it was
only that,
fun-
how about the last like 3 possessions of overtime where they're throwing the
the
ball
last
over
3
the place?
possessions of overtime,
John,
the last
so chase.
minute of oh my god, it was. There's so many things. You're just like, if you spent 98% of the game angry, can you be happy? It's a hard thing to flip it, right? But like it's hard.
I'm
also
stunned
not
they
to,
won the game. I'll say that.
I am too.
But it's hard to not give them at least their due for hanging tough when they were playing really bad. Effort, as Jimmy pointed out earlier, was not an issue. It was there. They just
The
weren't
effort's through the
executing.
roof, yeah.
The effort was great, so you have to tip your hat because that's a positive. Instead of getting really down on themselves and kind of caving in, they fought the whole time, and eventually they just kind of they just hung in there long enough to be able to pull it out. And Golden State didn't play great either, and you got to credit the Celtics for that. So I think a day later, it's easier to look at it and be like, that was a pretty damn good win considering all of the things that weren't necessarily going their way. But just while you're watching it, it was like, oh man, what are you doing? It was just that ugly feeling of forcing the offense. And guys, who's got the problems right now? Who's got them? Oh, yeah, you got it right behind you. So it was a tough one. But like I said, I think you step away from it, Bobby, you'll end up like generally being like, good win, and you got to credit them for the effort. You still hate seeing them like look bad and have a team make them look bad like that, though. You know what I mean? Is like, I think if you came in there, what was the number thing you wanted to see? You wanted to see them play a good game against Golden State and not let Golden State do the same things to them that they've done in the past. And I don't think you came away. I don't think you got that. And you certainly didn't get it from your superstar because Tatum has been absolutely owned by Golden State now for the last 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's for me. That was my big takeaway from this
That's
one.
the headline.
And
The headline is
Yeah.
Tatum's. Yeah.
I mean, if Jaylen Brown doesn't look like the Jaylen Brown pre-adductor injury, and Al Horford doesn't have a back to the future moment, they don't win this game. And that sequence near the end of regulation where Tatum, I think, had 3 turnovers within like maybe a 90-second span, something ridiculous like that. Your best player can't do that. It's one thing to miss shots. It's the mental mistakes that Tatum was making in the fourth quarter that troubled me the most. He had a monster game on the boards, and they absolutely needed him to be that big. But the turnovers, you can't do that against a championship caliber team like Golden State and expect to win. I mean, it felt they earned this win. There's no question about it. The Celtics earned this win, but damn, it shouldn't have been this hard.
So Joe Mazzulla and Marcus both addressed that. Joe actually got asked, like, is that a good win? Are you worried about things that happen at the end there? And he basically said those things are going to happen. It happened to the Warriors too. They had some ridiculous turnovers throughout the flow of this game, and there's no way to totally prevent all of that. But the way they reacted to them, and even some of the bad stretches throughout the flow of the game, there was like 3 buckets in a row they let go wide open. Some of the offensive rebounds that the Warriors got out there, just breakdowns left and right on defense. Some of the bad offensive possessions just driving into nowhere. They adjusted off all of them. And we know how good this Warriors team is when they're playing at their best, and they were tonight. Their defense was locked in. This looked like that number 2 defense from last year from Golden State. So coming out of this one, the headline, I think your headline fits, John, but I also think if you get in the finals with this team, it's going to be another 6-7 game grind, and it's probably a toss-up if you win or not against this group.
It's a gross
I
thing.
can see it happening. I can see it happening, this rematch.
They're really good at exposing the Celtics' weaknesses, and they're good at making the Celtics, basically, I mean, literally and figuratively play left-handed. You saw the clip of Draymond on TNT telling them, make Jaylen go left, make Jaylen go left. But I mean, they just make them do stuff that takes them out of their comfort zone and just makes it a really ugly game. Also, what always stands out here is that the Celtics, they've got size and they've got length, but you do see where speed comes into play against a team like Golden State that kind of takes away space so quickly, really clogs up lanes. And, you got to play really fast against them.
Interesting Rob game, huh?
I don't know if the Celtics are capable of doing that.
Yeah, that made an interesting Rob game, and he gets a double-double, big presence inside on the boards, but they did challenge him, moving. He was trying to play that off-ball role, right, and get in the lane and help in there, and they beat him in those spot a lot of the time. He had a miscommunication late. Josue pointed that out with Brown on a foul on Draymond. But he still gave them some good minutes, and they flexed their advantage with their size, you just mentioned, by grabbing 18 offensive rebounds. That was the difference in the game. All of those extra possessions they created for themselves. They started finding dump-offs in the lane. Rob had those 2 late free throws. I think he hit one. So they reacted to their advantages.
Well, Bob, the one thing Rob did that we have not seen him do much of, actually grab an offensive rebound and try to score.
And get up with it.
I mean, it's such a basic thing, but it's a basic thing that he makes look as if it's like trigonometry or something. Because he just struggles doing that. He'll grab an offensive rebound, and he's looking for Tatum. He's looking for Jaylen. And there's literally nothing between him and the rim a lot of times but air. And he was not like that tonight. He was actually grabbing offensive rebounds and immediately forcing that defense to react, to force to defend him. And that's something that, again, we haven't seen a lot of that, and we need to see more of that going forward.
Yeah, that used to drive me crazy. I mean, it still does because he's just now getting out of that habit. But yeah, he's really pull down the rebound, turn around, and look for a pass. And I think that's why a lot of the times, especially in this game, Tatum was looking for him not only the lob, but also just in the paint. I mean, whether the double team was coming, that quick bounce pass to William down low, I mean, that was there for him a lot of the time. And that was this game is one of the few times where I've seen him just locked in terms of grabbing that pass and going straight up with it. And most of the time it was the layup, or if not, he got fouled and went to the line. I mean, that 3-point play he made in the fourth quarter, that was big. That was those type of plays that the Warriors were sort of, again, expecting Tatum and Brown.
I'm getting happier with his involvement. I'm getting, like, they're finding him. He's getting touches. He's getting involved.
You were worried about that, right, Bobby? So this is good.
Yeah, we've talked about it. They weren't looking for him right when he got back. And it was that question we asked all last year. And they react, and they're adjusting fast. And Joe's not going to take credit for it. I'm sure he probably deserves more credit for this stuff than he gets. But if it really is all in the players out there and they're adjusting and calling these things out on the fly and making all these different moves to win a game like this, that's super impressive. I mean, 3 years ago, this team couldn't score on a zone. Even with Brad probably like scraping at the clipboard, writing stuff down so hard on it. It's amazing how they've grown offensively, and Tatum particularly. The roll late to get the free throws. He had Wiggins lined up. Would have been ISO City, step back, pull-up jumper a couple of years ago. Instead, he throws it to Smart, screens, rolls, and gets fouled. It's a whole new Tatum, and I'm going to give him some more credit. I know people are going to get on for the turnovers, and he deserves it. He almost blew the game with those stupid plays late. But
the one against Curry drove me crazy.
But to struggle 9 of 27 and grab 19 boards, I mean, that's like Andre Drummond stuff. 3 steals and still get 34. That's what you're looking for from him if he's going to struggle offensively.
No, I don't give a crap. I mean, that's the biggest empty calorie stat, the 19 rebounds. Half of those things, Golden State already ran 4 guys back, and he's just the guy standing there when the ball
there were a
came
couple
off the
offensive
rim.
in there.
There's a couple offensive in there, but 10 of those rebounds are just like, I'm the guy that the
How about
ball
12
landed
free
in.
throws?
That's great. I like the
that.
12 free throws. The 19 rebounds, you can flush it, honestly.
In the fourth quarter.
Bobby, as much as I love what Jayson Tatum does night in, night out, this was not a good Jayson Tatum game, and I'm not going to give him a pass because, to be candid with you, Bobby, this game was close down the stretch in large part because of his turnovers, and he put them in position where they had to find a way from some source. And remember, the last couple of minutes, that was the Jaylen Brown, Al Horford show.
Jalen's game time 3, yep.
Yes, those were the guys that bailed him out on a night when Tatum just didn't have it again against Golden State. So yeah, his numbers look great, and for fantasy league owners such as myself who have Jayson Tatum, that was great to see that. But if we're keeping it 100, this was not a good Jayson Tatum game. He's better than that. He would have. I mean, if he would have had like 25 points instead of 30 plus, but had 2 turnovers instead of 7 or 8, better game.
Fair. I'll give it to you guys, especially because like 2 of those turnovers wiped out epic Al Horford blocks at the rim.
Right?
Immediately.
They were preposterous turnovers. I mean, one he didn't even see Poole.
And then how about the one before halftime that turned into that Curry 3 on the logo?
Right.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
A shot that Curry was knocking down, barely touching the net before the game started. Yeah, the logo.
And thinking this
Light
game
work.
went down to the last possession. That 3 at the buzzer before halftime made a big difference in the late stretch of the game. There.
That was unfortunate. Definitely.
Ridiculous play. This guy, I know Kerr compared him to Jordan, like in terms of the gravitas and the energy in the building. And this place was dominated by Warriors fans early. Kind of a dreadful showing from the crowd in the first half, but they picked it up late. Curry, though, the theatrics and what this guy still does night in and night out, carrying this team, the pole and the big plays. And I don't know, you guys watched Jordan. I didn't, but like you just marvel at the stuff this guy does. Half court, he's ducking down. Iguodala's on the sideline with his arms up. He just got a steal and he's spotting up from half court. Oh man.
Yeah,
I just had a marvel.
He's appointment TV. And I've said this a few times on the show. There's a handful of guys in the league that I think you have to see in person if you can. Curry's one of them. He's in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest things I've seen covering this team. Well, it was ridiculous.
There's not a lot of people who can say changed a sport, and Curry changed a sport,
Totally.
So like that's that. I mean, he's just it's for people that grew up, and kind of Jordan obviously changed the sport and the way that it was played, and all of the people who tried to follow in the footsteps and do the things that he did. I actually think Jordan made the game worse because nobody could do what Jordan did. There was just a bunch of cheap imitators. There's nobody could be Jordan. Jordan was just, Curry brought shooting back, the game got ugly for a little period of time, in the later Jordan years and the post Jordan years. This is back to
just look at those drafts, the 2000 draft, 2001. The last couple of years when he was when he was a Wizard, it was still kind of like that too. Yeah.
So no, Curry completely changed the game, changed the way the game is played, and just made something just made shooting exciting. Like, I mean, it's it's probably the most exciting. Him pulling up from 40 is like the most exciting play in basketball. It's unreal. Real quick, before we wrap this one up, again, we want to tell you guys about one more of our sponsors here at the Garden Report. That is Rocket Money. If you go to rocketmoney.com/garden, you can save hundreds, cancel your unnecessary subscriptions. I've already done it. I know other people in the Garden Report use this as well. We have a couple testimonials from other viewers who have used Rocket Money, and they'll tell you the same thing. Formerly known as Truebill, if you go here, what this is going to help you do is consolidate a bunch of your subscriptions that you have hanging out there, and I guarantee there's way more than you think, and a bunch that you've absolutely completely forgot about. On top of that, there's probably several that cost way more than you paid when you first signed up. You might even have double subscriptions. What Rocket Money will do is find them all, put them all in one place, allow you to cancel, allow you to renegotiate, work those deals down. You can save hundreds. I literally saved, in my estimation, almost $400, and I'm not kidding. $400.
One of the things I've learned with this Rocket Money promo, John, is that you're like a problem subscriber.
I am.
What are you subscribing to over there that you've saved $400?
I'm insane.
It's preposterous.
Well, like I said, I had one alone that went from $9 to $27 and negotiated back down to $8. That was $20 a month over 12 months. Okay, do the math. That's $200+ on one subscription. Yes.
Sounds like serious.
No, it wasn't. I saved $200 on one subscription, but the rest of it is yes. I'm a serial content abuser.
Sirius is a good example.
You're such an executive producer.
Sirius is good.
I have one writer that I like who works one place, and I'll subscribe to the whole friggin' site, and that's just that because I want to read it when I want to read it. Rolling Stone is a good example. There's one television critic there. I can't get enough of it, so I had to subscribe, and that's it, just because I want to read what they wwrite. I don't know if I use the rest of it
Austin
or not.
Globe will get you too.
I don't want to call anybody out. What I'm saying is, I guarantee if you use it, you will save money. So again, check it out, and you will get a phenomenal T-shirt as well.
Phenomenal.
There's
Love
a
the
form
phenomenal
here.
shirt. We gotta get some paper and start drawing up some new ones too, though. We
gotta
gotta look
get
at
you
it.
in.
Just make sure you don't
Do you have a picture of
unsubscribe
Bonnie
from,
wearing this shirt? Like I think that's
Athletic
appropriate.
Greens.
Yeah,
Should
we
model
do.
that.
I got me and John have a picture together. We'll post
They
it.
have it. I
John's
still
on
don't
it.
have a damn
John's
shirt.
on Instagram. I'm gonna tag you, John. I'm gonna post and tag you.
John's on IG.
No, I'm not. I mean, I have an account.
I thought I
follow-
saw you on there.
Probably be food pics. Probably a good food page.
Oh,
I
good
think-
idea.
I've never posted a thing on Instagram. I think I follow like 8 people, and 4 of them are CLNS. So it's not that,
A food account would
John
do
just
very well,
monitored
John.
us. I don't even know your thing. You
Just
you
a
watch
pie,
our
just a
stuff?
pie account, dude. Just
John's pies.
various pies. Yeah. You'll get some followers. Actually, somebody should just create a John's Pies account just as a fake account.
I'm surprised there aren't any Twitter handles out there
Don't
with
give
John.
people any ideas.
Give people any
Angry
ideas.
John or something. I'm surprised there isn't any burner accounts out there.
Probably is.
I'm not really that important. Let's put a bow
You
on
said
this
it.
one, guys. What do you guys
Put a
think?
ball on this weird comment. This guy sent this a couple of times. This is Marcus Smart's militia.
We're custodians.
We are everyday people. We're custodians. We're the cashier at the car wash because that's a thing. we're
That's been
we protect
automated.
Smart's honor at all costs. Marcus defends us, and we defend for Marcus.
Blue collar,
I don't know.
I'm guessing.
It's not that
Yeah,
serious,
Marcus.
Sir, this is a
told me-
Wendy's.
Yeah.
What's your order?
Marcus told me after the game he was going to his second job. He's got the midnight.
These are the type of people that like plot to kidnap the governor. Like I'm a little, like I'm a little worried.
You can just be. You can just like Marcus Smart. You don't have to be a cashier at a car wash.
or part of any militia.
Yeah, you don't have to be violent about it at all.
You can just like him, right? Exactly.
Sure.
All right, around the horn. Number one takeaway from tonight, Jimmy. Don't be the sunny guy that wants to be liked by people. Tell me what you actually think.
Well, jeez.
You put it that way, right?
Yeah. Now I'm like trying to be negative.
You gotta come out negative, man.
I'm gonna say what I said to start off the top. I appreciate the way this team fought. I will criticize them more for their effort than anything else. And tonight, even though they didn't play pretty, they played hard. And the fact that they came out with a win, the way things were going 3 quarters in, I'm pleasantly surprised. And again, they looked the boogeyman in the eyes tonight, you know, and they have no reason to be scared. I don't think now. So that's my take. I hope people like me after that.
They will.
Josue.
I'm gonna say they survived effort for sure. We got to say this is an effort game for sure. They survived the slim margin of error, so to speak, that Golden State Warriors could put you in. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this. I mean, you can squeeze Jalen in there as well, but I don't think you'd be telling the whole story. I mean, he's probably the biggest reason why they won. But I'm going to say it really did boil down to effort, and offensive rebounds is certainly the key stat that sticks out the most out of that box score from the Celtics. But I want to see a better effort, you know, against the Toronto Raptors. It should be a good matchup. The Raptors match up really well against the Celtics. So this is a good chance there's a good opportunity for them to come back with a better performance, especially offensively. I mean, this team can play much better on offense, and against the Raptors, I'm assuming we'll get a better show from the Celtics.
Don't the Raptors kind of suck now?
Yeah, they'll still fire away.
They're athletic. They can defend. I don't know.
They're a tough matchup.
They give the Celtics fit. You know.
And I don't count them out.
I'll say what I said early in the show. Hard not to imagine these teams meeting again in June. I can't doubt the Warriors again. I doubted them last year.
For the Nuggets, Bobby, like I said during the game. But all right.
Hey, who won that series first round last year? I know things look a little different out west now. There's some new contenders emerging. Warriors lost this game, did some stupid things, fall below 500, but you saw what they are at their best when they're locking in. It's going to be really hard to beat them in 7 games in the West. And then if you get to the final, it's going to be really hard to beat them there again. So you shook off this issue you've had with them for one night. You might see it again later.
The Warriors are 5-18 on the road. Isn't that wild?
Unbelievable. But you rolling them out, Jimmy?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Only Houston is worse on the road than Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ruling them out, but I would be surprised at this rate. I would be somewhat surprised, I think, to see them in the NBA Finals. I think somebody knocks them out. I just don't think they have that killer instinct that they've had in past years. At least not right now. I mean, things can change. But they're 0-11 on the road against teams above 500. That's who they're going to be playing in the playoffs.
If that's the case, Bobby, then the Western Conference, I mean, shame on them, right? I mean, like some.
Hey, no one's proven themselves out there. Who's proven themselves beyond this team?
I mean, look, you can look at what happened last year, but I think that a team like the Nuggets can get in the mix. I mean, the Warriors they've been trying to dethrone the Warriors for a while. Not just the Nuggets, but like other teams. I don't know about the Suns. Suns are sort of falling off.
Nuggets and Memphis.
Suns aren't even in the playoff picture right now.
Right, so you can't count them. But look, the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, there's teams out there that
Grizzlies
sort of
are tough.
This is that year that
man.
they're trying to make it finally beat up the team that's always there, always in the way. So it wouldn't shock me, but I would be surprised. I mean, if the Warriors did get back to the finals against the Celtics, and I'm not trying to say that the Celtics should say, oh well, we don't have to worry about them anymore. I mean, they have to correct the mistakes they made because there's other teams that are just as good, if not better, significantly better than the Warriors. And I bet you a lot of those teams are in the Eastern Conference if you think about it.
So my number one takeaway is this, and I want to hear Sherrod's too, but my number one takeaway is 51 points against the Hornets is really adorable and it was fun. But you can't get taken out of games by good teams like this. And it was really, I didn't like how Jayson Tatum got absolutely taken out of the game, both in terms of his approach and how the types of shots he was trying to get and force the issue and forcing bad shots and play and doing exactly the stuff he's not supposed to do against a team like this. And then all of the turnovers. So yes, they gritted it out, but can other teams do this to them? Can other teams do this? Team goes as far as
we saw the Nets do it to them.
Exactly. This team goes as far as the stars take you. I don't like seeing your best player look this bad when a team does these types of things to them. Again, if the blueprint exists, there's got to be 2, 3, 4 teams that can pull it off. You're not going to win many games when Tatum plays this poorly.
Yep.
You're not going to win series when Tatum gets taken out of it. taken out like that.
And John, look, but my biggest knock
So
on
that's his next hurdle, right? He's made the leap. He made his All NBA. He's done a lot of things this year that he wasn't doing last year. The stats and the numbers are great.
Need
You
that
keep
ring.
putting him. You keep putting him on the page and saying youngest to this and his longevity, and he doesn't miss games, and look at how many total points he has and all of these things. And the numbers are insane. Only 4 players in history have blank, blank, and blank. They stack up great, but ultimately you cannot just get chumped like this when another
Win the
team's
ring.
got your
We've said it. We've said
another
it all year,
team
John.
can't have your number. Yeah.
We've said it all. We've said it all year. Real quick, win the ring. It's all that matters this year. You're the best team. It's the expectations, the bar. It's why we keep nitpicking them so crazy.
Right, but
Tyler
Bobby,
Russ.
You're the
with that
best
being said,
player.
though-
Teams will every team wants to make it hard on you. You can't be absolutely just completely taken out of a game the way Golden State has done repeatedly to you, and you worry that other teams, when the pressure goes up and defensive intensity goes up, teams' focus really goes up, takes Tatum out of his game. I don't want to see your best player be able to be taken out of games like that.
Right, and even worse, John. That possession towards the end of regulation, when he had the ball, Steph Curry was on him, and he tries to pass it off, turned into a turnover. It was a turnover, terrible pass, but you got to take Steph on that matchup. You know, like I don't like seeing Tatum do that, especially in late game situations, because I mean that's a matchup you have to you want that, right? You want to score against him, and I get it. He wants to get other guys involved as well, but I just think in key moments like that, I mean, I think that would have been the conversation we would be having right now if Jalen doesn't hit that 3 at the end of regulation. Like, why did Tatum pass off that opportunity? Like, that's your best player, as you said, John. You know, that's the guy who's gonna carry this team as far as they can go, and that opportunity in that moment, I didn't like seeing that from Tatum. I was really surprised.
Yep. Sherrod?
Damn, you got me on negative now.
I didn't mean to get negative, but that's my
Yeah,
takeaway.
you
Is
did.
I
No, I
really
got
wanted to see Tatum answer the bell tonight, and I didn't see it.
I mean, we've kind of talked around it, but the bottom line is this: Tatum has to be better. That's simple. You're not going to win a championship series when he's has 1, 2, or 3 games like this, because they were very fortunate to win this game. I can't stress how just fluky this win was when you consider how, think about this. They out-rebounded Golden State by damn near 22 rebounds. When you beat the snot out of a team like that on the boards, that should not be going to overtime. There's a reason why that game, and you had to force the game to get to overtime. They actually had you down. And when you look at all the things that did not go well for them, it's hard to look past all those damn turnovers and the missed shots. And again, it's great that they were able to find a way to win, and you got big plays from Malcolm and Tatum and Jalen and Al, and that's great. But Tatum is your best player. These are the games where he's got to play like it, and I just didn't think he did.
Yeah. And you give Jalen a pass coming off of the injury, even though he was dog shit most of the game, but obviously huge buckets late. Something awoke in him, which was terrific. So that was good stuff. And for all of the people here that say Tatum doesn't get his fair share of criticism, there you
Suck
go.
it.
Okay. Now suck it. Okay. Yeah.
Take it, you Jalen Brown fans, you fanatics.
You got it,
Yeah.
Jalen.
And I think
Jalen Brown fans.
You know, we all don't have the same points, but I think everything we said is all true. I mean, you can talk about Jalen, or you can talk about Tatum struggling tonight, and also talk about the fact that the team hung in there, fought back, and then were effective when they needed to be at most. You know, late in the fourth, in overtime, Tatum did have a shot late in the game, so got to give him a little credit for sticking with it. I mean, he didn't completely fall flat in his face. I think when people talk about Tatum and him affecting the game in other ways, that's why somebody would bring up the 19 rebounds. Yes, let's say 10 of them were just whatever rebounds, but the point is, he is trying to find other ways to affect the game when his shot isn't completely falling. He's trying to stay engaged. And these types of games are a lot less frequent than they used to be. So that's why it's not really a concern for me, as it would have been maybe like 2 years ago. He does tend to bring it, more often than not now.
Yeah,
so
That's true.
But
That's true.
really, it only matters. It's like I said, is you look at the Patriots dynasty years, like it really only mattered how they played in a couple of games. The rest was just almost like tune-ups. Charlotte,
And you had your Ravens, you had those teams that gave you issues.
sometimes it's
Giants.
really, it's like playing
We don't
well
talk
against
about the
one,
Giants.
playing well against a couple of teams is really all that matters, because that's all that it's going to come down to. So again,
Right.
you're looking at only 3, 4, 5 teams that are of consequence, and if any of them are able to really take your best player completely out of it because he doesn't rise to the moment, that's a problem, and
Sure.
that keeps you from winning championships. The expectations are higher. People are, how can you give Tatum crap? He had 34 points. Because it's championship or bust. That's the year, and it's going to be Tatum that gets you there. And he can't, he can't have games like this, series like this. That just isn't it. So seeing how he played in the finals last year and how much of the finals loss he wore around his neck, leaving that, to see him drop another dud against Golden State was that's the thing I wanted to see most that I didn't get to see tonight, is him kind of get past that. Well, he didn't get past
get
it.
to see what you wanted to see.
Well, it's not like a fan thing. It's a check the box thing. It's
John wanted to wave the towel like the Denver game again.
I paid good money for these seats to see Jayson Tatum score 40.
Yeah, you're never gonna live that down.
I didn't pay for those seats.
It was great. It was good to see that side of you. And then the
It's
Celtics
a-
went on that bad skid of losses.
It's a box he has to check.
I'm going to bed.
Good night.
Tonight was a lot of fun. What a great game to be at.
Good night, guys.
Oh, we're happy for you, Bob. We're
happy,
so
Bob.
happy
Bobby
for you.
loved it. It was a good
Bobby
Bobby
had
so much
experience.
fun.
Dear Diary, I had so much fun tonight.
Hey, I tweeted. I got a lot of crap. I tweeted this is one of the best regular season games I've seen. I'm standing by it. I don't care what people say.
That's funny. I hated it.
I loved it. Every
Because it
minute.
was
That's
ugly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, there's lots of games that are a ton of fun. I thought this was a slog. This was But then again,
No, I
the
would
intensity
lean
was there.
towards you, John. Yeah. I mean,
Well-
again, the end of the game kind of overshadows
But
the
they
first
wanted it.
48.
These guys were there,
Sure.
Jimmy. It's got to be different, right?
Haymakers back and forth.
Oh, the
These teams were
atmosphere
just
for
punching at
the
each
Warriors
other.
game is, you have to be there to understand, for sure.
So I think it's lost. You and I didn't get to see it, Jimmy. Like those
Next
it
year,
definitely-
John, me and you are going next year. These guys are going to sit at home.
Fine.
Yeah, you two and Kwani. You'll
That's
be
it.
there.
Say no more.
We'll do that. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And there was a couple quotes. I was going to play one from Tatum. I mean, Al said it very clearly. We wanted this. I wanted this game bad. And Tatum said we did let the first Golden State game get way into our heads as a finals rematch sort of thing, and it got the best of them. And I still think that kind of carried over into this one too. So who knows? Maybe you kind of wish they would play a couple more times this year now that they did get the win, just to see whether or not they could kind of get over that little hurdle. But who knows?
Give it to us in June. We need it.
Yeah. Kwani's here.
All right.
Let's go. We got to go.
Get out of there. See you guys.
Later, guys.
Later,
Good
guys.
night, all. Thank you guys for watching. It was fun. Good night.